Hello, ladies and gentlemen. So today I am going to give you the top 5 animated series of Spider-Man. So I actually ranked them. Kind of hard to rank them, but at least I know where number 5 is. One thing you should know is that I excluded the Spider-Man from 1960s. Main reason is because it's kind of out of date, and it's kind of like, how in the world can we actually compare that one to the now? Not only that, but it's kind of like the person who voice acted as Spider-Man, I didn't like his voice whatsoever. And when he came back for Shattered Dimensions, that's where it got really, really bad. And I was like, you should have got the guy from Spider-Man Unlimited. I mean, that would have been better than this. But anyways, yeah, you need to stop bashing that guy. And also, I have excluded Spider-Man and Amazing Friends is because his Amazing Friends kind of got a story of their own in the series as well. It's not like mainly Spider-Man. So, there you go. Alright, let's get started. At number 5 is Ultimate Spider-Man. Of course, we know that it had to happen. I know lots of people like it and enjoy it, but it's really just for kids. And I know that's what they wanted it for, was for kids. But still, it wrecks the story. All the stuff they do wrecks the story completely. It does. It really wrecks the story. But anyways, one thing that really was a messed up thing was the fact that Miles Morales, during the time before the Ultimates, yeah, when that was happening and that was a comic series, Miles Morales did actually have a team of his own consisting of Bombshell, Scarlet Spider, who became Black Widow, and Cloak and Dagger. As you can see, look at the amazing resemblance of, oh, he got a team of 5. Well, looky there. Not only that, but the crazy idea of Spider-Man has to have a motorcycle of his own, which is the first time ever that the toy line actually has something that's like not really goofy. Because during all the decades we've been having toys of superheroes, you guys can notice that every single time, you bet your sweet bippy, they have either a car or a motorcycle with the hero on it. So this time around, at least when it comes to getting stuff that actually is in the series, you actually need to get the spider bike. First time ever. But anyways, one thing that was really takes away from the story is the fact that number 1 is too much like the Teen Titans. It really is. Team of 5, not only that, but they have chibis. I think that's what they're called, chibis. And that was like a cutaway gag. It's like a cutaway chibi gag. And I'm like, oh my gosh. Not only that, but Ninja Turtles, which I had to have seen. Yeah, I've watched Turtles forever. That's where I actually found out that, oh, Raphael used to do that way back when. Yeah, so Raphael actually is the one who did the monologue cutaway things. And it's like, so you're taking away from them? Not only that, but what about Lizzie McGuire? Technically, they're taking the idea from Lizzie McGuire as well. Anyways, the black suit was there. That was awesome, but it had a weird origin. The fact that for the suit to actually appear, they took a bit of Spider-Man's DNA and then they mixed it up and turned it into something, yeah, weird and different. But it was creative. I do have to admit that was creative. It is awesome that it was Harry that was wearing it. I mean, yeah, it should have went to Peter and then it went to Harry, but Harry was the first one to actually wear it. And I was going to say that would be cool that the Black Spider-Man and Spider-Man actually team up for a few episodes. But instead, no, what they did is just straight up went to Venom already. It's like, wow, why couldn't we just have like 2 Spider-Man, one, oh yeah, I forgot. There can't be 2 Spideys, apparently. Well, actually, no, he said there can't be 2 Peters, but still, I would have loved to have like some crossover one where, well, not crossover, just like at least 3 episodes where have them both teaming up, build the story a little bit more, and then when the whole, oh no, he's a monster happens, it's like, ooh. Well, anyways, next is Agent Venom is present, although he isn't Agent Venom because, Well, number one, he hasn't went to the army. Number two, he didn't get any training. And number three, he didn't have to have any injections that made him turn into Agent Venom. So yeah, that's just I know it's a different take, but still it's kind of like, that's not Agent Venom though. That really isn't. Of course, last but not least, is Web Warriors is a start to a better series. But yeah, it's trying to. I do have to admit it's trying to, but they're not going to get away with their original stuff that kind of made it just for kids. It's like, if you get rid of that, more people will watch. And I know that you want to get kids drawn in, but still, it's either you get everyone to watch, and then you get more people who actually will buy your stuff, instead of being like, oh, well, we're just giving it to the kids. And it's like, it's not going to work exactly like that. I mean, who buys the toys? The parents. If the parents are fans of your toys too, then that makes them even more willing to actually buy the toys. It makes sense, doesn't it? Next up is MTV Spider-Man, aka Spider-Man, the new animated series. There are some good things, there are some bad things about this one. So here's a list of a few good things, bad things, and some facts. Number one, he just flashed red and blue when he changed. Just like at least one episode where it's just flashed red and blue when he could have just took off his clothes, but they were on a tight budget. They wanted to make his clothes a little bit more baggy, but they couldn't do it because of the budgeting. So it's kind of like, yeah, it suffered a bit on budgeting, which is kind of sad. More importantly, why this series will actually get number 4 time slot is because Aunt May was outlawed. And the reason why it was outlawed is because MT executives feared that the appearance of any old people would deter their target youth audience from watching. Yeah, you heard me right. You heard me right. And of course, everyone's going to ask what happened to it. Well, MTV canceled it for stupid reasons. For stupid reasons, they canceled it. The reason why they canceled it is because the ratings for the series wasn't sufficient to warrant a second season. AKA, I don't know. They were just stupid. That's all I have to say. But anyways, one thing you need to know is that this series coincides with the first movie of Spider-Man from Sam Raimi. But sadly, it doesn't go with the second movie, which I was hoping that would be the centerpiece of what's going on. Is the fact that you have season 1, then second movie, then they show the aftermath of what's happening with the second movie, then they'll have the third movie, then they'll have the third season, and so on and so forth. Of course, it would have ended with season 3, so... Well, I don't really know how that would work. Let's see. I guess no, it wouldn't work because then, yeah, I don't know. I don't know how this would work, so... Well, anyways, they gave us the lizard way too early because they actually showed the lizard in the series. Unlike what happened in the movie, is we never actually got the lizard. Technically, the lizard was supposed to be in the second movie, but Sam Raimi knew best, and he actually said it would take too much time, and this is one of the clues why we can say that Spider-Man 3 sabotage, is because he said no on the lizard appearing in the second movie. He did make a cameo, but he didn't actually turn lizard. Well, anyways, one thing is the fact that they have Indy. I'm not going to say her name. I'm not going to try to say her name. I'm kind of too glad right now. But anyways, so they have Indy, who is this character that actually is a romantic interest of Peter, which I kind of would like, even if they're like, oh, well, the show got canceled. This is the only person I technically would have liked them to integrate into the comics somewhere. I mean, she's just too good of a character to actually be like, forget that. I don't even care if they actually eventually be like, oh, well, we do have Indy, and Indy works with Silk. I would rather actually have that now, instead of just, she's a character mainly for MTV, and that's it. Well, anyways, we do have a couple of villains, new villains, actually. One, you have Talon, and then you have the Gain twins, who are basically telepathic, and they're psychopaths. You have Chikata. And you have Turbo. And Turbo had an interesting story. Kingpin actually showed up in the series, and he was voiced by Michael Clark Duncan. Yes, yes. Who knows? Maybe this is the reason why he actually got that role in Daredevil. But still, this was a good call on their part. That was a good one. He was a little bit too Kingpin, but hey, it was still good. One thing you should know is that a few voice actors actually were recruited for the Spectacular Spider-Man series. And of course, one person who was voiced in the Ultimate Spider-Man series was actually here too. Tara Strong, which she is everywhere. I swear, if you actually look in mostly every single cartoon you can find, you'll see Tara Strong in it. Even in Charlotte's Showdown, where she actually voiced Omi. So yeah, she's talented, or she just knows how to get work. Man. Anyways, Electro was featured, and so wrap it up, there was a cliffhanger. Yeah, they ended it with a cliffhanger. You actually had Spider-Man throwing his briefcase in the water, which I swear, if the people from Iron Man, Armored Adventures would have been cool, they could have actually had a nice little connection where they're like, there's a briefcase that they found and it has a Spider-Man suit in there. Or at least maybe in one of the Spider-Man video games, they'll actually have a landmark where it's like they get to have the traditional Amazing Spider-Man suit or whatever by actually going to that landmark. That would have been cool. That would have been a nice little nod. Of course, one thing to talk about before I tell you what would have happened in Season 2 is for Ultimate Spider-Man and this Spider-Man series, Stan Lee actually appeared. Of course, in Ultimate Spider-Man, Stan Lee actually is more common than ever, while in Spider-Man, the new animated series, he actually showed up as the guy who was talking to Peter as if he was Uncle Ben. The evil version of Uncle Ben. Well, anyways, so in Season 2, what they were planning on is having Mysterio, Vulture, and more Kraven. So that's one thing that we could have been hopeful about and can't wait for, but sadly, they canceled it. You can find it now on Crackle, and you can find it now on Dailymotion. There's lots of places you can find it. Sadly, it's not actually incomplete. I mean, when you buy a DVD set of this, you actually have to buy at least 4 or 5 DVDs instead of just buying one with all of them in there. Actually, it would be 2. But either way, I'm just saying they didn't actually put them together. Alright, next up is the third one, the third choice, and lots of people are going to be like, what? But this series really deserves to actually have the third spot. And it's none other than Spiderman Unlimited. And no, before it was a game, it was a series, which is really disrespectful for them to actually name the game Spiderman Unlimited. It really is messed up because I was like, what? Yeah, so either A, they make a Spider-Man Unlimited level on Spider-Man Unlimited, the game, or, well, it's too late for them to change their name, but still, it's like, you are so disrespectful. Disrespectful. Well, anyways, so here's a couple of things that you should know about. Number one is that the idea was to budget the first 26 issues of Amazing Spider-Man, but Sony and Marvel were in talks trying to get movies and stuff running, so they couldn't do it. Saban got dissed. Another was the fact that Spider-Man goes to counter Earth and finds another Peter who became Venom. Avi Arad / Marvel Comics disliked it. The fact that 2 Peters is just not a good thing. Even though you do have to point back at the animated series and say, look, there's 6 Peters in that episode. So yeah, it's really, really funny to actually point and just say, look, you did have at least 4 episodes, 2 episodes with more Peters you can count. And yet, in this series, you want to say 2 Peters is a no-go. Also, one thing that I can't prove, but I did hear about, is the fact that before going with the option, I don't really know which one came first, but before going with Spider-Man Unlimited, they actually had a 2099 pilot. It didn't get greenlighted, and it's somewhere out there. Somewhere out there. Maybe freaking Disney have it, and they just don't know they have it. But for right now, yeah, it's missing. Well, there's many things that you have in here. Like number one, bad guys were good guys. You had the Green Goblin, and you had the Vulture showing up, helping Spider-Man out. Man-Wolf showed up. Of course, you had Venom and Carnage, and they got the Synoptic together, which that was something interesting. One thing very notable is that Spider-Man was voiced by the original Tuxedo Mask. And also, nowadays, he actually is the narrator of Curious George. Anyways, this had new ideas. They actually have new ideas, and it was very, very cool. I mean, it was different at the time, but still, it was very, very good. So here is the freaky, crazy point. It's the fact that it had proper ratings. Actually had proper ratings. The only messed up part is that it was canceled due to Pokemon and Digimon. Because Pokemon was overshadowing it, and Digimon was actually not helping at all either. So that's the reason why it actually got canceled. So for people who actually now talk about saying, oh, it wasn't that good, it sucked, it got low ratings. It didn't get low ratings at all. It actually got fair ratings. It's just that Digimon, which came, and Pokemon was already there, it actually deterred away their attention from Spider-Man Animated Series, Spider-Man Unlimited, and actually watched Pokemon instead, even though I could swear when it always was on, I was able to watch it. And Pokemon was... Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think Pokemon was like way at 9 or 10 o'clock. No, it was always at the 10 time slot. And Spider-Man Unlimited actually was on 11:30. So, I have no idea how that really could happen. But of course, Pokemon. Well, anyways, now we go to the questions. Number one is Shane's father actually Green Goblin? That's one thing that we're like, it seems like they were nudging that way, but because of the cutoff, the fact that second season didn't happen. Number two is, how did Spider-Man and the rest of them survive? Because the Synoptic actually was about to take over a whole entire world and flood the world and make it anew. So I wonder how in the world did that work? And how do Spider-Man and John Jameson return home? Because their ship got destroyed, so it was like, And of course, three side notes, is the black suit Spidey. Hell yeah, he returned and he was beautiful. This series actually turned into a comic book, and they based at least 2 or 3 episodes on this, or maybe 1 and then a 2-parter. They turned that into a comic book, and then they went their own way with it. He also showed up in Spider-Verse, believe it or not, and was killed by Marloon's brother, Deimos. Oh, man. Furuba. Oh, well, one last thing that you need to know is that Spider-Man Unlimited was kind of trying to be the sequel to Spider-Man the Animated Series. They had many instances, but of course, there are some details that was like changed during the whole telling of the story. Like, for instance, the symbiote, that changed. Mary Jane is safe and sound, but we don't get to hear or see what happened, which that's one thing that they said that season 2 was going to maybe do. It's the fact that it was going to bridge the gap and actually show in season 2 how he saved Mary Jane. Either that or just the fact that it could have been the original Walking Dead before Walking Dead, except it's the Synoptic instead of the Walking Dead. Alright, now we go to the last 2, the first 2. I don't know, these 2 is kind of like a back and forth. One of them can take second, one can take first, but it keeps on shifting from which one should take the first time slot. So I'm just going to list them as such. In second place is Spectacular Spider-Man. So, it's a mix of the Ultimate Spider-Man and the Amazing Spider-Man. It was very, very cool. And it had so many villains that actually were featured in here. Green Goblin, Rhino, Sandman, oh yeah, Chameleon, Tombstone, Hammerhead, Lizard, Electro, Kraven, Dr. Ock, Shocker, the Enforcers, Mysterio, Vulture, Sable, Silver Sable, Venom, Molten Man, Black Cat, and then here comes the crazy ones that you're going to be like, what? Guardian, Hydro Man, Scorpion, Cassidy, and Warren. 23, actually. 23 bad guys. Wow. And yeah, it was canceled due to the Marvel Sony negotiations and Disney being negligent of what they had. Seriously, they're being negligent, really negligent. There's gonna be another video that I'm gonna talk about all the loose ends that they have in this series. So yeah. Anyways, it ended with a major shocker, which for people who haven't seen it, great. Well, sorry for ruining your parade, but here is what happens. It's the fact that we thought that Norman Osborn was dead because he had his glider and he was going straight into a silo full of pumpkin bombs. And all of them, as soon as the crash happened, you hear the big fat explosion. Harry actually saw it because he was actually able to pilot a helicopter. And Spider-Man, oh man, so it was like very, very heavy. But it turns out, besides the nice little nod saying the Connors gets to go to the Everglades because Miles Warren actually kicked them out of their own laboratory. Ouch. So yeah, they get to go to the Everglades, that's in Florida, which is like that's where they actually first found the Lizard. Lizard and Spider-Man fought in the Everglades, and that was the first ever time they fought. Wow, right? And meanwhile, we see a blondie dude, which it turns out was Norman Osborn, and wow. So he's gonna go have a vacation while I have no idea. Oh yeah, the butler's going to take care of Harry. So it's kind of like what happened in the first movie, which, I didn't even connect the dots there. Which is kind of funny too. I kind of thought that in the first movie, or at least the second or third movie, they'll actually show, ha 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 ha, Norman Osborn is actually alive. We tricked you. All because of Spider-Man 3. Well, in the beginning of Spider-Man 3. After it, I was like, Well, anyway, so basically in season 3, you had Scorpion and Hobgoblin to show up. That was the plan that they were going to show up. And this is the best model of Spider-Man being in high school. This is the first time ever we had Spider-Man in high school besides Ultimate Spider-Man, but that came afterwards because Disney wanted to make a brand new series, even though they were happy with what they got. Yeah, so this is the first ever Spider-Man in high school, and it did a marvelous job. Of course, one thing I do have to note is the fact that there is a website called ideas.wicca.com, and a wiki, and then it has the Spectacular Spider-Man Season 3, and they laid it all out. So it looks like Sony is still planning on getting Spectacular Spider-Man Season 3 out. They're actually planning on doing it. And sadly, this is not going to actually be the real Season 3 because this Season 3 is jam-packed. This Season 3 has all the superheroes showing up, basically trying to top what happened in Spider-Man, the animated series. I don't know, you guys are going to have to really take this as a grain of salt, but on the other hand, it kind of does bring a smile to my face to actually say, Spectacular Spider-Man Season 3. Which it almost happened. I bet it was almost happened. Vortex had it, and I was like, oh man, Vortex is getting it ready. But, Okay, so last and not least, at the number 1 time slot, but of course remember, these slots forever change, so sometimes it's in first place, sometimes it's in second. But anyways, we got Spider-Man, the animated series. And it's just one of the best series. Given that this is based on his college days, it still has a good story to tell. You got Man-Spider for the first time ever, which Man-Spider freaked me out. Seriously, it freaked me out. And just an all-around adventure. I mean, seriously. It even had a Spider-Verse before Spider-Verse was even thought of at the last 2 episodes of Season 5. Yeah, it was very, very unbelievable and very, very cool. this black suit in this sold me in the first place of why I love the black suit so much. And of course, Spectacular Spider-Man did have the black suit, but what they did that they didn't really do is the fact of, in this series, in the animated series, you actually get the black suit turn into any clothes he wants, in any color. In Spectacular Spider-Man, all you got is the fact that it turns into a black shirt. That's it, black shirt. I mean, I see in the comics, yes, it turns into like a black jacket or black outfit. But I'm kind of like, I liked what happened in the animated series, and why not let this continue going? I mean, why not? There were so many heroes. Other heroes were featured in this series. You have X-Men, the Fantastic Four, Iron Man, and Iron Man actually came when Carnage showed up. Kind of. Daredevil, Blade, Doctor Strange, the Punisher, Captain America. But, of course, here is the sad part. There's two sad parts to this. Number one is due to the disagreements between the executive producer Avi Arad and the network head Margaret Loesch, it got canceled. Yeah. And of course, yes, it turns out that Margaret Loesch is kind of painted badly because she actually took out Marvel Animation along with the series, and yeah, it just straight up got it taken down. The company got destroyed, and that's why the sixth season can actually happen, because the company got destroyed. Anyways, oh yeah, and of course down below, or somewhere around here, I webbed the video that actually explains what really happened. But anyways, one thing that we find out is that season 6 was actually going to happen like this. Spider-Man would find Mary Jane in the 19th century England. Madam Web would have taken him there to find her, but they would actually encounter Carnage, who has taken up the identity as Jack the Ripper. Wow. You gotta admit, that's a big wow. Of course, it's interesting if you think about it. It's like, remember what happened to Carnage? The Carnage symbiote actually jumped into the black hole where we don't know where. I think it must have got incinerated. I think it might have got incinerated. I'm not sure. But maybe it left Peter Parker, the one that it was trapped with, and then it went to someone else. I don't really know. I have no clue at all. So that would have just been something cool to actually see, and I figured that would be something like this. Like, for instance, they go to Land of the Dinosaurs to scan, and then they go to another place, and go to another place, and then we find out that she's in England, and they go to England, and now they're going to track her down, along with taking down Carnage, and I don't know what happened. Technically, why did... Oh, yeah, Venom actually went into the green hole with Dormammu, so that's what happened to Venom. So why can't they just redo that and just throw... Carnage actually did go for that. I'm like, oh man, it's really hurting my head on how in the world. Alright, let's wrap this up. So here's the real bad setback that actually would make this into the number 2 spot. It's the fact that they have massive censorship. No bullets, no saying die, no vampire acts, meaning no biting and getting blood. Instead, they have to use their hands to suck plasma. No killing, no serial killers, basically making Cletus Cassidy nothing but a mad hatter. Not a mad hatter, making him into a madman. There should be no deaths, which is why they materialized, like the clones actually just evaporated. That's why. And here's the big thing that actually showed up is Stan and Spider-Man met for the first time ever. That was very, very cool. Stan Lee also showed up in Spectacular Spider-Man in Season 2. So it's kind of like, yeah, if you didn't get to see Season 2, well, Stan Lee showed up there. As for Spider-Man, the new animated series, he didn't get to show up at all. Yeah, that's kind of sad. Well, anyway, so there's no origins in each of the series. Each of the series actually had passing by. Yeah, there's just nothing but flashbacks, And technically for Spider-Man Unlimited, you actually get to see the origin every single time you see the intro. So that's kind of like one cool thing that you get to see. And of course for Spider-Man, the new animated series, you already get to see the origin because it coincides with what happened in the movie. Mostly. Yeah, so there you go. That is my top 5 listing on Spider-Man TV shows, animated TV shows. So, do you agree with this list? I bet there's many people who are going to throw trash at me as if I'm Green Goblin from the first movie. So, this is just my opinions. I think it's pretty decent. And for anyone who's hardcore Ultimate Spider-Man fan, someday they might actually change my mind and make them move up. But for right now, it's just a fact of this series was the one that canceled Spectacular Spider-Man. Given, yes, it was Sony and Marvel deal, and technically, Disney owned it before they did the deal. They got season 2 before the deal even happened, was negotiated. Meaning that they technically could have had a deal where it's like, yeah, produce more of these and we'll film it, and there we go. But instead, it's more like you owned it, and then you... See, this is why if I would have got a shirt, if I actually am one of the YouTubers who actually have shirt and merchandise, I would have a shirt that says Disney Can You Count, and I'll have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in the year, and then on the back, Spectacular Spider-Man should have had 5 seasons in the back of it. That would just be my logo t-shirt to give, besides Spider-Man 3 was sabotaged. Well, anyways, I'm truly webbing out. So, tell me what you think. Peace.